Well, we all like to think that we have a book inside us. My part-written novel is actually sitting on a hard drive somewhere, and the last paragraph was written in the last century. So I'm delighted to be speaking to someone. I'm looking up to the person who's managed to achieve the completion of a book. No mean feat in itself. Phil Helmn, latterly of Goodwood. Phil, credit to you. You've managed to achieve what I didn't manage to do, is finish a book. And you did it over quite a short period of time. It's called The Power of People. Can you just tell us a little bit about what the book is about, and then we'll talk about the mechanics of how it came together in a little while.
Well, no, thank you, Scott. Yes, it's a book about how to lead and manage people. So, but really, I just tried to pour out my experiences and really sort of share all my thoughts that I've gained over the last 30 years of being a turf manager. It's all those very bespoke, very tailor-made towards greenkeepers, superintendents, I've read quite a few books about leadership, and there are an awful lot on the shelves, as you can imagine, about this topic. But when I've read some, obviously to do research and things like that over the years, none are specific about golf courses and golf greenkeepers. And I really wanted to make it so that a greenkeeper can read it, understand it, and actually can see how it can fit into his or her greenkeeping life, their managerial life. So yeah, that's really what it was about. It's got 12 chapters. It's got an awful lot of images and case studies that are very specific to us in our world, and it ranges from the importance of personal and professional development, right through to how to understand others, how to manage finance, how to get the best out of people, how to develop a sort of a winning team, a winning attitude, how to drive innovation, all those sort of things, and all those things that I've learned over the last 30 years.
It sounds a lot of the things you mentioned there, Phil, are things that probably most managers would be dealing with, those similar things, but you've actually tailored them and made them specific to the golf industry and course managing, greenkeeping industry. Can you give us a couple of examples of how you've managed to make them specific to our particular sector?
Well, I mean, I think, Scott, the thing is with a lot of these, what I've discovered is that with a lot of these sort of theories and models, which some of them are like 70 years old. But what I've discovered is that I've been able to use them. They're still relevant for the modern era, which is really rather amazing. They were obviously very, very clever back in the day. And really by just trying to, by being able to adapt it in our way and show how it is possible, it makes it quite, there's an awful lot of I've put lots of little light bulb moments through the text so that, the reader can either go, that's a good tip. It shows them that that's a good tip. Or it also sort of says, maybe a little bit of further reading if you want to. But here's a case study. Here's an exact example of how that model fits into our modern day work. So as an example, when we're doing bunker projects, perhaps, there's a series of events that really, to get from the start to the finish in a successful way, there are models that you can use, that you can map how you go about that so that you don't miss anything out. You do the proper planning and preparation. There are also models in there that we use to make sure that everything is done very efficiently. And then towards the end, there are also things that you can use to be able to do really good reviews of yourself and how you did it, so that next time you can do that better And they're all models that really create success. And really, if you're whether you're an existing turf manager or you're a hopeful future turf manager, these are all things that they don't necessarily readily come to you. And really, the book, like it says, it's more of a manual. So it's more of a book that you probably have sat on your desk, or certainly in your office or on your shelf, close at hand, that you can then keep referring back to all the time. So it's not a book like a novel where you read it and then put it away and it gathers dust. This is meant to be almost like a working document that you've got there, or almost in your back pocket all the time, with really relevant, bespoke, specific greenkeeping tips.
Now, you're a well-known figure within the industry, but not everybody will know who Phil Helmn is. So for those who don't know, you can just give us a little rundown of your CV so they can understand, well, hey, the guy that's talking here has got a little bit of miles on the clock. He knows what he's talking about.
Well, unfortunately, I do have a few miles on the clock, unfortunately. But yes, so I grew up in Morecambe in Lancashire. My father was a golf pro. I've quite literally lived and breathed golf and greenkeeping all my life. I've never done anything but being a greenkeeper. So that's how I have been able to notch up 30 something years. You know, by writing this book has been it's been really great for me, because I've made lots and lots of mistakes, obviously, on the way. But you know what? Learning from mistakes is probably more powerful than just plain sailing and getting everything right all the time. So I've grown up in golf. I went to Myerscough Horticultural College in Preston. I did 3 years, got a diploma. I then went and I've worked in America. I was very fortunate to work in America for a little while. I've been fortunate to do grow-ins all over the country, and also out in Cyprus. Yes, I became a master greenkeeper back in 2001. And I've kept reading. I've kept trying to develop myself and my own skills all the time, just to try to stay at the forefront of learning. And I think this is like one of those, it feels like a great achievement to be able to just physically get it out of my head and onto paper. And I just wanted to share, you know, what I've experienced, all the good and all the bad, and share those things with future, future managers.
Now, you've mentioned it's an achievement, and I'm jealous because I didn't manage to achieve my book, although I might still manage it, I don't know. But how do you get from a blank screen to a finished volume? Tell me a little bit about the process that you went through and how you disciplined yourself to get it all down on, well, you say down on paper, down on screen.
Well, to be honest, Scott, honestly, I didn't think I had it in me. I genuinely didn't, absolutely. And yes, when you stare at just a blank white page and go, okay, right, now you need to write about 30 years of leadership and how to get the best out of people. Yeah, it's a very big, daunting prospect. But I was very fortunate because I enrolled, we talked about personal development. I enrolled about a year ago to do a business leadership degree. And part of the business leadership degree was you have to write dissertations, around about 4,000 or 5,000 words per dissertation. And there are 8 of them. So you have to complete that before you can move on to the next stage, which is all the exams. So I have an exam, my final exam is next month actually, but hopefully, fingers crossed, I've done enough revision. But the beauty of writing those is that you have it, that there's a format, there's a way, a structure of how to structure out a chapter. Because basically a dissertation is like a chapter of a book. So 12 really meaty chapter titles something that's really relevant. And the book's got 12 great chapter titles. And then what I found easier, the format of doing it, is then breaking that each chapter down into about 8 subheadings. But 8 subheadings that take you from the start through the journey to the end. And then that way, what you've done is really effectively, you've said, okay, well, listen, I don't need to write 50,000 words. I'm just going to write 350 words for each sub-chapter heading. And by the time you get to the end and you complete that journey, you've amassed 50,000 words, and hey presto, you have a book. And I know that sounds really simple, but yes. So because of lockdown, I definitely wanted to channel my efforts. I know it's very tough. It was very tough, and it's still very tough for a lot of us in our industry. I wanted something that I could get stuck into and have a positive slant on that whole this whole unfortunate experience. And it got me out. I think it kept me sane, and I think that it really helped me focus on positivity. And I just absolutely just went through it and just kept going. So you could imagine I finished I was only meant to do 8 chapters, 8 dissertations for my degree, and so it was all online. So I rang my tutor and said to her, I've done those 8, can you give me another 4? And as you could imagine, they was like, well, why? And I went, well, because it will really give me something to do. So I went through, she gave me another 4, hey presto, there's 12 chapters, and here I am with something to show for it, which is amazing.
Was that right? You told me earlier that it was it 10-hour days you were putting in behind the keyboard?
Yes, no, I was. It was. You have to. I watched quite a lot of videos about authors. Okay, then authors for novels and things like that. But the theory is the same. They say you have to be disciplined about what time you start, what time you finish. You have to be disciplined where you might sit. You find the right place to sit, that you can then throw yourself into your work. Don't get distracted. So make sure you haven't got things all going on around you. And so I was. Unfortunately, I am. To my shame, I am OCD. I do have that sort of disciplined mind. So I found that part quite easy to do. But I was up at 7, and I didn't leave my dining room table until probably about 5 o'clock. And then I was doing my 1-hour walk that the government used to let us go and do. And yes, I smashed it.
Credit to you. Now, what I want you to do is hold up the book, but I also want you to run through some of these chapter titles that you've got.
Well, there's the I don't know if you can see that. There's the book title, and then the chapter titles really are the importance of personal development, the power of understanding others, managing conflict, change, how to prepare and manage successfully, delivering coaching and mentoring, the importance of managing stakeholders, because we have to deal with lots and lots of other people, using data and information for solid decision making, managing projects to achieve great results, managing finance, managing performance, the principles of successful innovation, and then lastly, how to develop and create great teams. So those are the chapter titles, and they're pretty. The content within them is pretty meaty. So it's everything really that a new or even an existing leader or course manager, head greenkeeper really needs to know. Really.
Now, how can people get hold of it?
Well, so so this is all part of a really big learning curve for me. I've never written a book before. I've never actually had to sell a book before. So what I've done is I've developed a very simple web page, and I'm just about to set up a shop page on it. So the idea is it's philhelmn.com, and you click on that, you go to the shop page, you click on Buy Me, and it gets posted to you. It sounds very simple. I'm led to believe that it is very simple. And for £9.95, I think it should be, hopefully it's going to be on every greenkeeper's bookshelf or on their desk, I hope.
Well, Phil, credit to you. I'm jealous. I'm proud. I admire what you've managed to achieve. I'd love it. Maybe go and dig out my book and see if I can finish it. But I hope it all goes well for you. And I'm sure it'll be of benefit to so many people, not just necessarily in golf, but I'm sure turf managers all over the country as well, those that groundsmen as well, who derive some benefit from it. But thanks a lot for your time and good luck with everything.
Thank you very much, Scott. Thanks for talking to me.